Okay, anyway, first answer to this question, virtual circuit connections, how switch introduced that virtual circuit connection. As network guys, actually you should have this knowledge as alphabet in the English, right? That much basic. Still we are covering that much basic. How switch introduce the virtual circuit?
virtual circuit connection එක switch එක ඇතුලේ හදන්නේ අර endpoint එකක් ඇතුලෙන් connect කරනවා. එතකොට මේ මෑර data packet එකක් එන එක endpoint එකකින් එනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඇතුලේදී MAC address එකෙන් මේ use MAC address එක use කරලා ඊට පස්සේ අදාළ මේ endpoint එකට ඇතුලෙන් හරවලා දෙනවා.
That's right. That means once there is an incoming traffic, by looking at the MAC address table, it directed to the one particular port which destination is connected with. Input traffic එක destination input traffic එකකදී ඒකට අදාළ destination එකක් තියෙනවනේ. ඒ destination එකට MAC address table එක හරහා link එක හදලා දෙනවා ඒ destination address එකට අදාළ port එකට. ඒක ඒ වෙලාවට virtually හදලා දෙන එකක් විතරයි. දැන් A B C D කියලා computers හතරක් connect වෙලා තියෙද්දි A B එක communicate කරද්දි C D එක communicate කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ඒකයි. නැත්නම් අර hub එක වගේ environment එකේදී නම් incoming traffic එකක් තිබ්බත් ඒක අනිත් හැම port එකකටම copy කරනවා. virtual circuit කියලා එක link එකක් හදාගන්නේ නැහැ. There is no only one specific path. It just broadcasts the traffic here and there in the hub environment. Then at one time only one can send some data, right? One can use the transmission media or one can use the hub. But in this environment with the switch, layer 2 device, or with the help of the MAC address table, it is possible to have multiple communication at the same time, because at one time, based on the destination address in the incoming traffic, it linked only with the one end device. The others will not be utilized for not related data, or end devices or other devices will not be busy with noises, whatever the not related data, or if a device is not expecting, that means if one traffics are moving over the through the switch, other devices are not interested on all the data, no? That means incoming traffic is there, the particular traffic is directed to the one particular device. එන්නේ incoming traffic එකක් තියෙන particular outgoing traffic එකකට. එතකොට හැබැයි අනිත් destination වලටත් ඒක එනවා නම් we can introduce it as the noises or unwanted data. So there is no such unnecessary transmission with introduction of the virtual circuit connection, right? Please try to understand those core concepts, right? I think if we continue, මේක කරා කියලාද කියන්නේ? Where we stop then? I can remember I stopped and I didn't cover this නේද? මේකට ආවේ නැහැ.
අර ටොපික් එකෙන් තමයි නතර කරේ.
ඔව් අරකින් තමයි රූපකින් මම නතර කරේ. I think this so this one introduced such environment, that means multiple devices are connected to the switch at the same time the server computer is also connected. These are connected through the maybe Ethernet port, and this backbone network is connected to the specific port is there uplink, no? Hope you can remember. There is a specific port for connecting the switch into the external network, right? So whatever the communication here, especially belongs to the Ethernet. So if these two computers want to communicate, first two computer switch will introduce the virtual circuit linking these cables internally at the same time virtually. If these computers want to communicate internally at the same time virtually.
Yes,
Right? Did you get the point?
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
සර් කලින් ප්‍රශ්නෙට සර් මේ උත්තරේ විදිහට කියන්න බෑද මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට්ස් වලට කඩලා ඒක අර පෝට් ඉනිෂියලයිස් කරගන්න එක පෝට් එකකට MAC ඇඩ්‍රස් එක ගන්නවා කියලා දුන්නොත් හරියද උත්තරේ
මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට් වලට කඩලා
ස්විච් එකට පුළුවන් මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට්ස් විදිහට කඩන්න එක කොලයිෂන් ඩොමේන් එහෙම කඩලා ඒ කියන්නේ එක පෝට් එකකට MAC ඇඩ්‍රස් එක ගන්න ඉනිෂියලයිස් කරගන්නවා කියලා උත්තරේ දුන්නොත් හරියද
ඒක ඒ කියන්නේ ඔය පෝට් එකට MAC ඇඩ්‍රස් එකක් අසයින් කරගන්නවා කියන්නේ දැන් මේ කම්පියුටර් එක ප්ලග් කරපුවාම මේකේ MAC ඇඩ්‍රස් එක මෙයා ටික වෙලාවකින් ගන්න එක දා කියන්නේ.
ඔව් සර්
සෙග්මන්ට් වලට කඩනවා කියලා මීන් කරන්නේ.
ඒක විශේෂ මේ එක අර හබ් එකට බෑනේ එක කොලයිෂන් ඩොමේන් එක කොටස් වල කරන්න හැබැයි ස්විච් එකට පුළුවන් නේ.
ඔව්.
එහෙම කඩලා අර MAC ඇඩ්‍රස් එක අනුව තියෙන පෝට් එක අඳුර ගන්නවා MAC ටේබල් එකේ.
ඔව්.
ඒක නිසා ඒ උත්තරේ දුන්නොත් වැරදිද?
virtual circuit කියන්නේ අර ඇතුලෙන් හදලා දෙන ලින්ක් එක තමයි. ඔයා කියන කතාව හරි සෙග්මන්ට් කියලා ඒක ඒ කියන්නේ මේ එක ලින්ක් එකක් කියන්නේ එක කොලයිෂන් ඩොමේන් එක. ඒක හරි. එතකොට හබ් එක තිබ්බ එක කොලයිෂන් ඩොමේන් එක ස්විච් එක අනුව මෙතන තියෙන කොලයිෂන් ඩොමේන් 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 තියෙනවා. එතකොට 8 segment කියන term එක අපි use කරාද මට හරියට මතක නැහැ. anyway collision domain 8කට
මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට් කියලා සර් යූස් කරේ මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට්.
micro segment කියලා අපි use කරාද?
ඔව් සර්.
එතකොට ඒකේ එක collision domain එකකට මේ micro segment කියලා use කරන්නේ අපි. මේ තියෙන implementation of switch on the network provide micro segment. When the word methane switch create the virtual circuit between two connected devices that want to communicate. හරිනේ AB කියලා දෙකක් device දෙකක් තියෙනවනේ ඒ දෙක අතර ඇතුලෙන් connection එක හදලා දෙන එක තමයි virtual circuit එකක් හදලා දෙනවා කියන්නේ. create the virtual circuit ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා කියන දේ නෙමෙයි හොඳේ. ඒ කියන්නේ virtual circuit කියන්නේ ඔයා කියන segment කතන්දරේනේ micro segment ඒ කතන්දරේ නෙමෙයි. Let's see, right? When the virtual circuit is created, dedicated communication path is established between the two devices. Dedicated ඒ කියන්නේ අර ස්විච් එකක් එතන නෑ වගේ නිකන්. AB අතර virtual link එකක් හදලා දුන්නා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? AB නිකන් Ethernet cable එකකින් එකට ගහලා තිබ්බා වගේ. තේරුණාද කියන කතාව? virtual circuit එක කියන්නේ නිකන් අර link එක හදලා දෙනවා නිකන් A and B computer දෙක අපිට පුළුවන් Ethernet cable එකෙන් නිකන් peer to peer connection එකක් ගහගන්න. පුළුවන් නේද එහෙම ගන්න? නිකන් basic එක intermediate device මොකුත් නැතුව computer දෙකක් connect කරනවා cable එකකින්. අන්න ඒ වැඩේ switch එක හරහා වෙද්දී සැරින් සැරේට A and B එහෙම connect කරනවා A and C එහෙම connect කරනවා A and D එහෙම connect කරනවා connect කරලා virtually අර physical connection එකක් තියෙන වගේ environment එකක් හදලා දෙනවා. අන්න ඒකයි virtual circuit එකක් හදනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. The implementation of a switch on a network provide microsegmentation. මේක term එකට කියන්නේ virtual circuit එක හැදුවට පස්සේ ඒ term එකට කියන්නේ microsegment එකක් කියලා නේද? collision domain එක කතාව නෙමෙයි. දැන් A and B අතර link එකක් හදලා දෙනවනේ. AB communicate කරනවා නම් AB අතර virtual circuit එකක් හදලා දෙනවා. ඒකට කියනවා microsegment එකක් කියලා. C and D අතර link එක හදලා දුන්නොත් ඒකට කියනවා තව microsegment එකක් කියලා. මොකද එක එක වෙලාවට එක එක අතරනේ communicate කරන්නේ. තේරෙනවද කියන එක? Just visualize the situation, right? A B C D කියලා computers හතරක් තියෙනවා. A communicate කරනවා B ත් එක්ක, A communicate කරනවා C ත් එක්ක, A communicate කරනවා D ත් එක්ක. Right? There are four computer A B C D. A is communicating with B, A is communicating with C, A is communicating with D. Those things will not happen at the same time. Then switch introduce the virtual circuit from A to B at one time, after that A to C, after that A to D, A to B, A to C, A to D. A B ත් එක්ක හදලා දෙනවා, A C ත් එක්ක හදලා දෙනවා, A D ත් එක්ක හදලා දෙනවා. ඔය දෙක එකම වෙලාවෙ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒකට කියනවා virtual circuit කියලා. එතකොට මේ මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට් කතාව කියද්දි A B අතර කමියුනිකේෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් C D අතර කමියුනිකේෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් A B අතර තියෙන කමියුනිකේෂන් එක එක මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට් එකක් විදිහට C D අතර තියෙන කමියුනිකේෂන් එක තව මයික්‍රෝ සෙග්මන්ට් එකක් විදිහට ඉන්ට්‍රොඩියුස් කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? If there is a communication in between the A and B and C and D at the same time, A B එක communicate කරනවා, C D එක communicate කරනවා. Right? At the same time. So it can be happen in the switch A and B communication and C and D communication can be happen at the same time. Then two microsegments are there. But once I ask what about the virtual circuit, you better introduce it in the way that introduce how connection is introduced at time with the help of the MAC address. Virtual circuit එකක් ගැන අපුවම අර virtual circuit එක හැදෙන විදිය ගැන MAC address table එක උදව්වෙන් කියන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි eventually අර micro segment තමයි introduce වෙන්නේ නේද? ඒක හරි. කවුද මේ කිව්වේ? එයා කිව්ව කතාව හරි. ඒක end result එක කියන්නේ අන්තිමට හැදෙන්නේ virtual connections හැදිලා අන්තිමට introduce වෙන්නේ අර ඒකට කියන term එක micro segment එකක් කියලා. Right?
Okay, sir.
එතකොට මේ micro segment කියන්නේ end result එක. කියන්නේ virtual circuit සරින් සරයට හදලා ඒ දෙන environment එකේ තියෙන මොකද entire switch එක එහෙම port 24ක් එක්ක තිබ්බට in the switch there are 24 ports නේ. Few are utilized physically. Maybe 5 computers are connected to the switch. At the same time, all 5 computers will not communicate each other. When they are communicating each other, these virtual circuits are introduced, right, in between 2 computers. So here it introduced as a micro segment as well. So end result is actually micro segment with that virtual circuit concept. Okay, I think this one you got some understand about the virtual circuit and whatever that micro segment scenario. So switch somehow introduce the improved way of communication in between the devices because it is layer 2 and intelligent MAC address table is there. With all that rich communication infrastructure is available in such environment, right? So let's move forward. The disadvantage of the layer 2 device is that they forward the broadcast frame to the all connected device on the network, right? I hope you can remember I mentioned that one. That means when devices are connected with the switch, right? Switch learn the MAC addresses. Computers connect with the switch එකත් එක්ක කොහොමද switch එක learn කරන්නේ MAC address. Incoming traffic, no? Switch always learn the MAC address based on the incoming traffic. Switch එකට එන traffic එකේ source MAC address එක දිහා බලාගෙන තමයි MAC address table එක update වෙන්නේ. Right? Switch always looked into the source MAC address of the incoming traffic to update the MAC address table. So for that, there should be some traffic introduced by the end devices, computers. Right? Computer should always introduce the traffic to get into the MAC address table of the switch. Right? So that is very rare, no? At the very beginning, any computers will not introduce their own traffic, right? That means end devices will not generate the traffic. So as a result, what will be happen? Broadcast traffic, that means without having the particular destination. What is this broadcast? How these broadcast frames are introduced? What is the difference in between the typical frame and the broadcast frame? Difference between the broadcast traffic and the maybe unicast traffic.
Broadcast address, broadcast frames are delivered to all end devices. And unique frames only going to one end devices.
Yeah, actually, broadcast traffic is forwarded to all the end devices, and unicast mean the particular MAC address is there as a destination MAC address. In that broadcast frame, I cannot exactly remember what is the destination MAC address. That means if we consider the network layer level, we have the broadcast IP, no? For the broadcast IP, broadcast the packets. In this case, frame destination MAC address. I'm not sure what would be the. Can anyone remember that? That mean typical frame source MAC and destination MAC address. That means MAC address of A and MAC address of B. Typical frame, we call it as the user traffic. User A introduce traffic to the user B. Button, this sort of administrative purpose, that means what is the purpose of introducing the broadcast frame here? To understand the devices connected to the switch. So generate the broadcast frame, right? So typically it happen at the user's end saying I'm connected and forward the broadcast frame to everywhere throughout the switch, and it will be received by the other devices as well. Then other devices also will respond to that. In some cases, it depends on the protocol, right? So such traffic we introduce as the administrative traffic. There are two things: user traffic, communication from A to B. Other traffic is the administration traffic. from A to every others broadcast nature. In that case, if the communication happen in between the A and B, you can understand that source MAC is A, destination MAC is B, right? When broadcast frame is introduced, if it introduced by A, source MAC address will be A and destination MAC address will be something. Can anyone remember that particular broadcast MAC address we use?
every digit F.
Actually, I cannot remember. That means F, how many times? 12 times, no?
Yes.
12 F. Just check with that. There is a specific broadcast MAC address also to fill that destination MAC address, right? Such data frames at the layer 2 level, we introduce it as the broadcast traffic, right? So usually we introduce the broadcast traffic to maybe doing some administrative activities, right? One example is the letting everyone know about devices MAC address. Once new device is connected to the switch, that device is introducing broadcast frame to introduce its own MAC address for the others. I will check. Can you see my screen browser?
Yeah.
No, you
No,
can.
sir, okay, මේ ස්විච් එකෙන්ද මේ බ්‍රෝඩ්කාස්ට් කරන්නේ නැත්තම් අර ආප් රික්වෙස්ට් එක යවන ගමන් අර සොකට් එකේ තියෙන අග එහෙමද අඳුරගන්නේ නැත් එන්ඩ් පොයින්ට් වලින්
Devices generate කරනවා. I'm connected like that. The ARP protocol is also the address resolution protocol, but I'm not sure it is. Let's check with that. Whatever the traffic introduced by the
මොකද සර් අර මේ ෆ්ලඩින් මැසේජ් එකක් යවද්දි මට මතක හැටියට මේ බ්‍රෝඩ්කාස්ට් MAC ඇඩ්‍රස් එක දාලා යවන්නේ එතකොට එහෙම අඳුරගන්න බෑද ඒකෙන්
floody මොකක්ද
ඒ කියන්නේ සර් අර
flooding
ඔව්
we can let's finish with this. We'll check actually if we can find the video. This should be the app. Then we check with this video. Then you can see. I think once I share. මොකද
මේ අප් එක්ස්ප්ලේන් ඇඩ්‍රසස් වලට YouTube කියලා ඉන්නේ තුන්වෙනි එක කන්නේ ඒක තමයි.
This one is 4 minutes. Okay, let's check with that.
For just $67, you can make as many videos as you want, and you never need to pick up a camera or use any fancy.
ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. Now, this is a protocol that is used to resolve IP addresses to MAC addresses. The MAC address is a physical address of a device. It's a globally unique number that is assigned to every network interface card. Whenever a device needs to communicate with another device on a local area network, it needs the MAC address for that device. And devices use ARP to acquire the MAC address for that device. So as an example, let's say that computer A wants to communicate with computer B. Now computer A already knows the IP address for computer B, but in order to communicate with computer B, it still needs its MAC address. Now an IP address is used to locate a device on a network, and the MAC address is what identifies the actual device. So in order to find the MAC address, computer A will first look at its internal list called an ARP cache to see if computer B's IP address already has a matching MAC address. In fact, we can check this ourselves at a Windows command prompt.
Did you get the point? I will just replay from here, right? See that again.
Let's say that computer A wants to communicate with computer B. Now, computer A already knows the IP address for computer B, but in order to communicate with computer B, it still needs its MAC address. Now, an IP address is used to locate a device on a network, and the MAC address is what identifies the actual device.
Metendi, these 2 points are important. Metendi app එකේදී කියන්නේ IP address is used to locate device on the network. That means IP address are known at the beginning. Then MAC address would be the problem. The MAC address is not known, but to convert the IP data packet into the frames, we want to know MAC address. For that case, we at the beginning, once we get to know about the IP addresses, we forward the app and get the response to get find out the MAC address. That is the purpose, no? The app request. But let's move forward and see.
So in order to find the MAC address, computer A will first look at its internal list called an ARP cache to see if computer B's IP address already has a matching MAC address. In fact, we can check this ourselves at a Windows command prompt by using the ARP utility and by typing ARP space -A. And as you can see in the output, it has no entries at all. The ARP cache is empty. So now computer A will send out a broadcast message out on the network asking every device which computer has the specific IP address and will ask for their MAC address. Then the computer that has the matching IP address will then respond back and tell computer A its MAC address. Then once it receives the MAC address, the communication can now take place between the two. Now, once computer A has the MAC address, it'll store this information in the ARP cache. So now let's do the same command. Computer A its MAC address. Then once it receives the MAC address, IP address, and will ask for their MAC address.
මෙතෙන් තමයි broadcast traffic එක යන්නේ නේ. Who is 10, but actually it is not the layer 2 related broadcast, right? I want to say that first. This is based on the IP address, finding the MAC address. So the what we discuss about the broadcast frame at the layer 2 level, it looked into that. I think this one also just convert the, let's see that, just the problem is here, who is 10.0.0.4, who is that? That is actually computer B. Then at layer 2 level, layer 3 level, source MAC and destination MAC is known, ne? Layer 2, sorry, layer 3 level source IP and destination MAC IPs are known, because A knows its own IP and A wants to communicate with this computer. But when it comes to the data link layer level, source MAC is known, which is the MAC address of the A, but destination MAC address is not known. So
address.
it
Then the computer that has the matching IP address will then respond back and tell computer A its MAC address.
only that computer B is responding. Actually, before that, the broadcast traffic introduced me. Maybe somewhere here.
Send out a broadcast message out on the network.
That is the broadcast, right? A send something, it will be sent to all the devices. What is the problem there? MAC address table is not yet updated in the switch. Although IP address is known, MAC address is not known. So at the layer 2 level, broadcast traffic introduced. So that is actually what we discussed. At the layer 2 level, broadcast traffic are introduced when the destination MAC address is not known. Then only the related.
Asking every device which
Once all the devices receive the frame, then themselves try to interpret it at the layer 3 level. අර තුනටම ආවට පස්සේ එයාලා layer 3 level එකේ interpretation එක ගන්නවා. එතකොට layer 3 interpretation එක ගද්දි මොකද වෙන්නේ? They find themselves what is the IP address, what is the destination IP address. And finally, only computer B realize that particular traffic is related to the computer B. Other computers ignore that traffic and computer B is going to respond for that. එනවාද කියන එක දැන් traffic broadcast traffic එකේ devices තුනටම ආවට පස්සේ එයාලා interpret කරනවා කොහොමද layer 3 packet එක හැදුනේ කියලා. interpret කරද්දී layer 3 packet එක හැදුනේ විදිය frame ටික collect කරගෙන interpret කරගන්න බෑ layer 3 එක. destination MAC address එක විදියට දකින්නේ 10.0.0.4. But 10.0.0.4 is the IP address of the computer B. Then other two computers ignore the communication. Only computer B respond to that request.
computer has the specific IP address and will ask for their MAC address. Then the computer that has the matching IP address will then respond back and tell computer A its MAC address. Then once it receives the MAC address, the communication can now take place between the two. Now, once computer A has the MAC address, it'll store this information in the ARP cache. So now let's do the same commands as before, and now you can see that the IP address and
Where this record is located? මේ record එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ?
end device එකේ.
Yeah, computer A වල. දැන් computer A නේ මේ IP එකට අදාළ MAC එක හොයාගත්තේ. So at this stage it says IP MAC and it's dynamic. Time to time it can be changed. That is the idea. Then only that unicast thing or A to B communication can be introduced, because until such time end device is not aware about the MAC address for the given IP.
and matching MAC address have been added to the ARP cache. The ARP cache is used to make a network more efficient. It stores IP address to MAC address associations so that the next time it needs to communicate with a device on the network, it doesn't have to broadcast a message out on the entire network. It can just look in the ARP cache. And there are also two different types of ARP entries, dynamic and static. A dynamic entry is created automatically when a device sends out a broadcast message out on the network requesting a MAC address, just like in the example we just did. Dynamic entries are not permanent. They are flushed out periodically so that the cache doesn't get filled up with too many entries that are not being used. And a static entry is where someone manually enters an IP address to MAC address association using the ARP command line utility. So for example, let's create a static ARP entry. So at a command prompt, you would type ARP space -S and then the IP address followed by the MAC address. So now if we look at the ARP cache again, we would see our static ARP entry.
So, did you get the point? Even someone can introduce the static IP to MAC address mapping. මේ IP address එක කිව්වොත් මේ MAC address එක විතරමයි. Right? So what is the purpose of such initiative? මෙහෙම ඇයි static dynamic කියලා දෙකක් ඕනේ වෙන්නේ? There are two types, dynamic and static. Dynamic actually ARP table updated as per the connectivity or as per the administrative traffic, it update time to time. But if we update in our end, this IP is this MAC address, what is the importance behind that? This is actually the network admin, so the end device administrator do that manually. Why is so?
Considering about security.
Yeah, that's right. Because time to time device can be connected to the switch, then MAC address will be learned automatically. But if we know some particular IP address is connected to particular device, for example, head of the division is using that 10.0.0.3, no one else will not use that IP. Then head of the division MAC address will not change. Then to assure that no one else will be connected through that IP, we can stick IP address with that particular MAC address. Then no other computer can connect the network. People can connect, but we are not communicating with that the other computers. We are just that means as a computer A, I'm not going to communicate with that particular maybe computer C if its MAC address is not this, right? IP එකෙන් ආවට 10.0.0.3 කියන IP එක අරගෙන ආවට හැමතිස්සෙම අපි allow කරන්නේ communication එක ඒකේ MAC address එක මේක වෙන්නේ නැත්තම්. And ARP address, ARP table will be updated. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol, right? So it helps to map in between the MAC address and the IP address.
Network administrators would use static entries to reduce any unnecessary ARP broadcast traffic on a network. For example, static entries are ideal if you know that two devices are constantly going to be communicating with each other.
Okay, so
Want to pass your certification exams first time? At Exam Labs, we've got
You got some understand about the address resolution protocol. So address resolution protocol is actually focusing the layer 3 as well. That means for the given IP address, what would be the MAC address? That is the question asked by the address resolution protocol. But so at the net data link layer level, it introduced the broadcast frames as well. Broadcast frames as well to broadcast frame as well, because they don't know that in particular source and has no any idea about the destination MAC addresses, right? So that layer level, that means data link layer level up is doing the what we discuss here. එහෙම නේද? Any question? Forwarding the broadcast frame. I just post that particular video and show you how the broadcast frames are generated from source end to the all other destination ends, because particular destination MAC address is not known in that situation. Any question?
No, sir.
Prabhat, clear the day?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next point is when the number of broadcasts in the network is excessive, sluggish network response time results. So this broadcasting, එක තමයි අනිත් කතන්දරේ. මෙතන broadcast කරන්න වෙන්නේ අර we found that two different entries, dynamic and static. Dynamic one, actually, if there is no communication in between two devices, right? If there is let's say A and B is communicating at this moment, then they find out forward the, if they know each other, they can introduce the unicast traffic. But if they don't know each other, they introduce the whatever the ARP traffic, administration traffic, and find out the MAC address first to introduce the unicast traffic. After some time, then A and B communicate and finish. And A and B will not communicate for a long time again. What will be happen? Actually, for that particular entry, entry, there is a lifetime for that, for the dynamic entries. Maybe let's say 5 minutes. After 5 minutes time, that entry is disappeared. Dynamic entry එක. Then after 10 minutes, A and B want to communicate. What A should do? A has to process the same steps, introduce the ARP and find out the MAC address, then introduce the unicast traffic or user traffic, right? So before starting the communication in between A and B, every time unnecessary broadcast traffics are introduced. In the network, the switch is connected with the many devices. So such broadcast traffic are introduced at different time. What will be happen? Unnecessary administrative traffic will be there in the network. Right? unnecessary administration traffic will be there in the network due to this broadcast frame. That is our second point. Then sluggish network response mean network will not respond promptly. Network will delay to respond because instead of accommodating the user traffic, instead of accommodating the user traffic, it has to accommodate administration traffic, this broadcast traffic. Actually, that is the one reason, in addition to that security thing with related to the static, right? Security kataවක් කිව්වේ. That is one side. The other side is this part. Actually, video also explained that part. Instead of having that dynamic entries, we can introduce the static entries if there is a frequent communication in between the two devices. Frequent mean not that much frequent, right? You can, if A and B is communicating very frequently, even dynamic entries are okay. But the A and B is communicating very frequently, dynamic entries are okay. Because that entries are updating now. But A and B is, that particular entry has the lifetime of maybe 5 minutes, and A and B communicating maybe 10 minutes time. A and B හැමතිස්සම විනාඩි 10න් 10ට කතා කරනවා කියලා නිකන් හිතාගන්නකො සිටුේෂන් එක. 5න් 5ට අමතක වෙනවා ඩයිනමික් එන්ට්‍රි එකක් 10න් 10ට AB කමියුනිකේට් කරන්න. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්න ඕනේ? හැම මිනිත්තු 10න් 10ක් සැරේටම A and B කමියුනිකේට් කරන්න ඕනේ වෙන වෙලාවට අර එන්ට්‍රි එක මිස් වෙලා. Can you visualize the situation? When A and B want to communicate at every 10 minutes time, that MAC address ARP table at the destination end is disappear. Like that. ARP address table entry is disappear. So unicast traffic cannot be introduced. Did you get my point? In such situation, we better introduce the IP address to MAC address table, IP address to MAC address mapping in the ARP table in the static manner. Then A and B, A knows where the B is located. No need to introduce the broadcast traffic at different time. No need to introduce the broadcast traffic at different time to find out the destination MAC address. Did you get the point? Any question? These are little things. Just try to understand situation, right? What do you think? If you cannot understand, please let me know. I can explain it again.
Understand, sir.
Okay, then let's move forward and see. Now, actually, we cannot ignore the layer 3, right? Layer 3 involvement with even layer 2 communication. So we have to just touch with the layer 3. So here it says router is a layer 3 device. You all know about that. Then secondly, it says router makes decision based on the groups of network addresses or classes as opposed to the layer 2 MAC address. You already know about that as well. What is that group of network address? Usually when the communication happen in between the two different network, අපි network කීප network පහක් හයක් තියෙන තැනකදී network දෙකක් අතර communication එක ගැන හිතද්දී they worry only about the which part of the IP address?
Subnet mask.
Yeah, subnetwork mask help us to identify which part of the IP address. Network ID, no? Network ID. With the help of the subnetwork mask, we find out the network ID of the particular network. Until particular traffic reach to the particular network, the network part of the IP address is important. Once the particular traffic reach to the destination network, then the host part is important. Right? Network part or network ID, host part. Right? So those two are important at different venues. එක තැන්වලදී. Network ID is important to find out the particular destination network, actually which is refers as the groups of network address, right? Then once it reaches the destination network, then host part is important to find out the particular specific destination computer. Right? Network ID actually represent many IP addresses, right? Many network IP address mean network addresses. In this case, these classes, actual class mean ABCD thing, no? Those are now actually obsolete with the new network. So we always rely on the subnetwork mask to find out the network part and host part. However, the point here is the structure of the IP address is hierarchical, and there is a order with the network and network part and host part. We can have some sort of a grouping thing, but MAC address, there is no such initiative. We cannot find any network part, host part, or different how do I say, different way of isolating the MAC address into two parts. MAC address එක කෑලි වලට කඩලා අපිට තේරුම් ගන්න දෙයක් නෑ. MAC address is a flat. There is no meaning with the different digits. All are equally considered to form the how many bits are there. How many bits are in the MAC address? 48 bits are there, right? All 48 bits are considered in equal way. There is no any way to group them. Okay. So third point is routers use routing table to record the layer 3 addresses of the networks that are directly connected to the local interfaces and network paths learned from the neighboring routers. It is all about the routing table. Have you ever seen the routing table in practice? Routers configure කරලා තියෙන කට්ටිය? or even Cisco Packet Tracer also allow you to look into the routing table.
Yes, sir.
Then you have better understand. Otherwise, actually, if you haven't done, you better look into the YouTube video again yourself to have some understand about the routing table, structure of the routing table, right? Because in this module, we are covering mainly layer 2 stuff. So the point here is the routing table carry two things. Routing table keep the record of the networks that are directly connected to the local interfaces. This is one thing, right? Directly අපේ router එකට direct router interface එකට sorry, let's say router එකේ interfaces 2 or more තියෙනවනේ. network දෙකක් හරි ඊට වැඩි ගාණක් හරි connect කරන්න router එකක් තියෙන්නේ. So router may connected with the 2 or more network. So all the networks related identities are recorded. Directly connected network. And network path learned from neighboring route. Right? So what is that? There are two things. That means just visualize the environment. One router R1 is connected with the R2. R2 is connected with the R3. Three routers are connected each other. Then multiple networks are connected with those routers. So router 1 worried only about the network connected to the router 1, network directly connected to the router 1. You can කෙලින්ම network interface එකෙන් network එකේ අදාළ link එකක් router එකට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙම network තමයි directly connected. Or network connected with the router 2 and 3. Router 2 and router 3 also connected with some other network. Visualize the environment. If you have a paper, just draw R1, R2 and R3. Then network 1, 2, 3 are connected with the R1. 4, 5 is connected with the R2. 6, 7, 8 are connected with the R3. So direct for R1, network LAN 1, 2, 3 are directly connected. Those are separately recorded in the routing table. So in the router 2, network 4, 5 are connected. So pathway to go to the network 4 and 5 and 6, 7, 8 which are connected with the router 3 are also recorded there, but it is in a different way, right? Not the same way, because those are not directly connected. We are showing the pathway to those networks only, right? Just looked into the table, then you can realize how those two different entries are recorded in the routing table. Actually, there are two concepts tentatively used, that routing table and forwarding table. I think in the computer network module, you touch upon that routing table and forwarding table. Anyone aware about those two different tables?
No, sir. Routing table, no. Forwarding table is not. No.
Okay, so actually, you are referring to the that routing table, that is the one you can see in the routers, right? The finalized routing table. That means finalize entries. These networks are connected through these ports. Likewise, there is finalized entries, right? But to come up, actually, let's see like that. The whatever you can see at the end as the end result is not the routing table. It is the forwarding table. But many people are introducing it as the routing table. It is the forwarding table because final forwarding of the packet. Once router is receiving a packet, router is receiving packet no some from one end, it looked into the forwarding table and forward the packet to the destination port. Receiving port to the destination port. අරහින් එනවා මෙහින් කොහෙට හරි දාන්න එපා. ඒ වෙලාවට බලන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඒක routing table එක නෙමෙයි බලන්නේ forwarding table. Which is the one you can see. But routing table is the one, right? To come up with that conclusion. The final forwarding table is a conclusion of the whatever the routing information base. මේක මෙහෙම යවන්න පුළුවන් මේක මෙහෙම යවන්න පුළුවන් කියලා එක එක්කෙනාගෙන් information collect කරගන්නවා. routers නිකන් routers are not making decisions anonymously. නිකම්ම decision ගන්නෙ නෑ. routers are making decision based on the collected information. Routers are making decision based on the collected information. So that very big table with all the information we call as routing table. Different routes are there. Route 1 is there, route 2 is there, let's say LAN 1 to LAN 5. Sorry, LAN 1 to LAN 8 කියමු අපි අර router 1, router 3, router 1, router 2, router 3 වල කියන්නේ මට ඕනේ ඈත network දෙකක් ගන්න 1 to 8. There are many paths from LAN 1 to LAN 8. All these paths are recorded in the routing table because all possible routes are there. But throughout the routing process, right, routing protocol apply in that process to converting the routing table into the forwarding table, right? Converting routing table into the forwarding table. Ultimately, we use the forwarding table, but all the information there in the routing table. Then in between, routing process happen to convert the routing table into the forwarding table. So at the end, for actual use, forwarding table is used. So here actually when we talk specifically about the routing, we differentiate those two terms, routing and forwarding. But every other time, even some commands, even for you to look into the forwarding table, you are using the command called routing table or something like that. If you want, actually, I will just video.
If I don't want to
And you
make a
can
video
company
like
access.
this of myself, I can just make a really cute one of
So in this video, we'll be talking about routing algorithms, and in the subsequent two videos, we'll talk about link state algorithms and distance vector algorithms. And for the link state algorithm, we'll be talking about Dijkstra's algorithm. But first, let's try to understand what is a routing algorithm and how routing is related to forwarding. Now, every node, or the network layer of every node, has two parts. The first part is the routing algorithm, and the other is the local forwarding table. Now, each and every node has this, and I've just blown up one of those nodes to show how the routing algorithm and the forwarding table interact with each other. So what does the routing algorithm do? The routing algorithm determines the end-to-end path through the network. That is, how to reach from this particular node to any other node in the network. Now,
Right, this is the routing algorithm involvement, and this is the final table, local forwarding table. So you enter the command to look into the routing table, and you looked into the routing table. Actually, it refers to the forwarding table. අපි router එකේ routing table එක බලන්න කියලා command එක ගහලා බලන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඇත්තටම බලන්නේ මේ forwarding table එක. මේක locally ඒ වෙලාවට දැන් මෙහෙමනේ තියෙන්නේ. යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ ඉඳන් කොළඹ ස්ටේෂන් එකට යන්න පාත් කීයක් තියෙනවද? ගෝල්ඩ් රෝඩ් එක යූස් කරන්න පුළුවන්, 120 රෝඩ් එක යූස් කරන්න පුළුවන්, එහෙම එක එක පාත් තියෙනවා. අන්නේ ඔක්කොම all possible path from university to the Colombo station, railway station, maybe many, maybe more than 100, because someone can use same gold road and but turn in the different places. All possible paths are there, right? If you use the Google map, different routes will be shown. But at the end, if you want to actually go to the Colombo station, you will pick only one path. දෙක වෙලාවකට path දෙකකින් යන්න පුළුවන්. You want to go home, and you might get into the Ratmalani station and directly go to the Colombo station. එක එක විදියන්නේ. Someone may go to the Borupana junction and get the Peta bus. Someone may pick the Trishaw and go to the Colombo station. Those are different ways. Those approaches will find the different path. All these approaches are in the routing table. Then routing algorithm applied. Routing algorithm may be referred to the your brain function. ඔයාලා ඒ වෙලාවට හිතලා බලන්න මම මොන විදිහටද දැන් යන්න ඕනේ. කෝච්චිය පරක් වුණා. පික්මි එකක් දාගෙන යන එක තමයි ලේසි. රත්මලානෙන් කෝච්චියක් හරියටම වෙලාවට තියනවා නම් අර කෝච්චිය මේ long distance train එක අල්ල ගන්න පුළුවන් කෝච්චියක් තියෙනවා නම් රත්මලාන ස්ටේෂන් එකට ගිහිල්ලා කෝච්චියෙන් යන එක තමයි ලේසි. කියලා ඔයාලා හිතනවනේ අර මොකක් හරි මම මොන විදිහද තෝරගන්නේ කියලා. අන්න ඒක නිකන් අර routing algorithm එකක් function වෙනවා වගේ තමයි. හැබැයි ඔයාලා ඒ වෙලාවට මොකක් හරි decision එකක් අරගෙන එක path එක මේක තමයි හොඳම විදිහ කියලා තීරණය කරලා යන්න හිතනවනේ. අන්න ඒක තමයි අර forwarding table එකේ තියෙන්නේ. මේ එක්කෙනෙක් ගැනනේ අපි කතා කරේ. ඒතර කීප දෙනෙක් කරන වැඩ ටික මේ කීප entries කීපයකින් මෙතන display කරන්න. Right? You got the point, I guess. There are many ways to go from university to the Peta station. Right? Hundreds of ways with slight deviations, by train, by bus, by trishaw, by bike, maybe with a friend. All these possibilities are there in the routing table. Then routing algorithm is appeared to find out what would be the best choice at this moment. Like you are thinking yourself, the best way to go to the Peta station at this time might be the train. that comes to the forwarding table, because at one time you pick only one choice. That is different in between the routing table and the forwarding table. Right? With that understand, look into this video, then you can have some understand.
Once the routing algorithm executes at a node, what it does is it populates a local forwarding table at the node. Now, what is forwarding? Now, forwarding is the physical process of moving a packet from a node's input interface to a node's output interface. So let's look at this particular node for which the routing algorithm and the local forwarding table have been magnified. Now you can see that there is a packet that is arriving at the input interface of this node, and there are three output interfaces for this node marked as 1, 2, and 3. So any packet that arrives at this node has to leave through 1, 2, and 3. So that is what the routing algorithm is going to do. It's going to tell this particular node which packets should go along link 3, which should go along link 2, and which should go along link 1. So once the routing algorithm runs, it's going to determine the following. That is, for this address range, which is marked in the table as address range 1, send all those packets which are destined for address range 1 along output link 3. For the packets which are destined for address ranges 2 and 3, send it along link 2, and for all other addresses, send it along link 1. So this is routing and forwarding and how they interact with each other. So once again, what does forwarding do? It is a forwarding table that determines the local forwarding action at every router. So now that we have an idea of what a routing algorithm does, the thing to understand next is whether this routing algorithm requires global information or is it decentralized. Another important question that we need to answer is whether this routing algorithm is static or whether it is dynamic. Now, let's first try to understand what is a global, whether routing algorithm requires global information or whether it is decentralized. Now, requiring global information means that all routers have an idea of the entire network or the entire topology. That is how the link costs vary for each and every link in the network. This is what link state algorithms work upon. That is all this link state, that what is the cost of each and every link in the network is collected, and using this entire information at a centralized location, the task of finding the paths from different nodes to the other nodes in the network is carried out. The other approach is decentralized. Now you understand that for a centralized algorithm which collects global information, the biggest hurdle is collecting all this information. So in a decentralized approach, what
That part
every
is
router does is every router just knows
something beyond what I wanted to explain in the difference in between the forwarding table and routing table. Right? This is about the different routing algorithms. You will get to know them later. So, but you should have understand the specific difference in between the forwarding table and the routing table. But at the same time, I want to say these two terms are not using in right way, right? Once you refer the different sources, so think twice actually whether they are referring the routing table and forwarding table correctly, right? If they are using the term routing table instead of term routing table for forwarding table, then don't worry too much, but you should have identified that although they are saying routing table for this is the forwarding table, right? So routing table, okay, always හරියටම දාගන්න routing table කියන්නේ අර the multiple paths from university to the PETA station. Forwarding table means one unique path from university to the Petai station. Large table is the routing table. Smallest table is the forwarding table. Depending on the particular situation, one unique path is identified from the available opportunities over the routing table, available path from the routing table, and put it in the forwarding table for someone to use. ඇත්තටම Google Map කරන්නේත් ඒකනේ. මල්ටිපල් පාත් තිබ්බට මේ වෙලාවේ තියෙන හොඳම පාත් එක මොකක්ද කියලා මැප් එකට දාලා දෙනවා. තව කාට හරි යූස් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒක අවශ්‍ය විදියට. If they are really sure about the particular path, ඒ කියන්නේ shortcut එහෙම තියෙනවනේ. They use that one, then Google Map again help us to find out the best possible path from that point. The same way routing happens. So you actually have that analogy of Google Map to understand the functionality of the routing or routing process, right? Okay. Purpose of the router is to do all the following: examine the incoming packet of the layer 3 data, choose the best path for them through the network, choose the best path for them through the network, switch them to the proper outgoing port. Right, then you can understand what is routing, what is forwarding while looking at these 3 steps. Examine the incoming packet of the layer 3 data. You can't do anything without looking at the structure of the layer 3 data packet. Layer 3 data packet එකේ structure එක බැලුවට පස්සේ තමයි අපිට source IP මොකද්ද, destination IP මොකද්ද, different flags මොනවද, checksum මොකද්ද, whatever the detailed information are there in the IP packet structure. So it is essential to look into the structure of the data packet in detail, right? Whatever the protocol it use, you just listen to the different protocol, right? Those are also there. Based on those protocol, the structure of the data packet also will be different. So it is essential to look into the detailed information about the particular packet. It is obvious. Then second point is all about routing. Choose the best path for them through the network. Best path එක හොයාගන්න process එකට අපි කියනවා routing කියලා. හැබැයි routing කියන process එකට input එක මොකක්ද? Choose the best path for them through the network, which is the process of routing. Input for the routing process is routing table. Output of the routing process is forwarding table. Input for the routing process is routing table, then do the routing process. Outcome or output of the routing process is forwarding table, right? අර ලොකු ටේබල් එකෙන් පොඩි එක හදාගන්න එක. ලොකු ටේබල් එකට කියන routing table එක, ඒක routing process through ගිහිල්ලා forwarding table එකක් ඔයාලට දෙනවා. Third point is switch them to the proper outgoing port. What is that? What is that? That is the process called forwarding. Forwarding. Actual forwarding happen based on the forwarding table. Actual forwarding happen based on the forwarding table. තේරෙනවද කියන එක? routing කියලා forwarding කියලා process දෙකක් තියෙනවා. Did you understand those two process? Dinesh?
Yes, sir.
Then what? Forwarding කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Routing කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Dinesh? Some are there without the registration number, right? You better rename your name. Your name within bracket registration number. What is the difference in between the forwarding and routing? කෝ කට්ටිය කතා කරන දැන් ළමයි 13 ඉන්නේ 13ම කොහේ හරි හොඳ කම්පැනිස් 13කට යන එක තමයි මේ ටාගට් එක ට්‍රේනින් වලින්. නැත්තම් කම්පැනි 13ක් දාගන්න එක තමයි ටාගට් එක. නැත්නම් එක කම්පැනියක් එකතු වෙලා දාගන්න එක තමයි ටාගට්. තේරුම් අරන් යන විතර concept එක මේවා තේරුම් ගන්න ඇත්තට මතක තියාගන්න අමාරුයි. common concept එක හරි මතක තියාගන්න එක වටිනවා once you go for the interview. I am not actually not putting the extra effort to remember, but I can understand the concepts. So once you questioning from your end, I also think. Otherwise, you know, I already passed these things. So you should have interest to study. You should come up with a question. Then only I'm also busy to find something and bring for you. Right? I'm always willing to assist you as far as you are interested to learn, interest to understand. So I clearly explain what is routing and forwarding difference. So can someone in the class answer for that? Vikramasinghe, Vidasun, no?
Yes, sir.
Because that birds noise are there, no? That's why.
Sorry, sir.
No, it's good actually. You are from village, no?
Yes.
That mean Vikramasinghe name is not familiar to me, but later on I heard that bird sound, so I realized that you are there. Anyway, tell me, what is the routing and forwarding? It's different.
We routing table use the router to identify the path to the destination, different destination, and forwarding table.
All possible paths, right? All possible path. All
yes.
Possible path from source to destination.
Forwarding table we use to the packet forward to the destination. Forwarding table එක දිහා බලලා තමයි අපි මේ ළඟම තියෙන
it is the best possible path from source to destination.
Yes.
Routing table all possible path.
All possible.
Forwarding table best possible path.
Best possible path.
Then routing process bringing what is the input for the routing process? Routing process කියලායි forwarding process කියලායි දෙකකුත් තියෙනවා. What is the routing process? Google map එක open කරපු ගමන් මොකක් හරි වෙන්නේ? දැන් path ගොඩක් තියෙනවා නම් එක path එකක් හොයලානේ ඔයාලට පෙන්නන්නේ.
Yes.
මොකද්ද ඒ routing එක route එකක් හොයන process එකට කියන්නේ? මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ එතෙන්දී? එතකොට වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද ඒකට input එක?
Open short path first. ඒ concept
නෑ
එක
ඒක එක එක concept තියෙනවා. ඒක ගැන අපි too much worry වෙන්න ඕනේ නෑ. මොකද ඒක internet network routing කියලා module එකක්ම තියෙනවානේ. අපි මෙතෙන්දී දැනගන්න ඕනේ නිකන් overall understand එක. එතකොට routing කියන process එකට ඒ කියන්නේ source ඉඳන් destination වෙනකන් තියෙන all possible path ටික තමයි input එක වෙන්නේ routing process එකට.
ඒක algorithm
all
එකෙන්
possible path. ඒ කියන්නේ routing table එක තමයි input එක වෙන්නේ routing process එකට. Input for the routing process is the routing table with all possible path.
yes
Right?
yes
What is the output?
output is all possible routing path.
Best possible routing path. Only one. Only one from only one source and one destination one, but as far as there are many networks are involved, many paths are there, but from once you consider one network to another network, only one path will be listed in that forwarding table. Originally there were many paths, but after routing process only one path. Many people refer that forwarding table as routing table, but you should have differentiate those two based on that conceptual understanding. Okay, conceptual understanding, right? මොකක්ද ඇත්තටම වෙන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට routing process එක අඳුරගත්තා. forwarding කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? එතකොට forwarding process, forwarding table එක දිහා බලාගෙන incoming packet එකක් outgoing network එකට copy කරන එකට කියනවා forwarding process එක කියලා. Right? Although those are in the layer 3, you should have some understand about how it is happening. That's why, because all are under this Ethernet concept as well, so we just touch upon those concepts as well. So this point, it is all about, second point is all about routing. Third point is all about forwarding. Okay. Routers are not compelled to forward broadcast. හරි නේද? Routers are not compelled to forward the broadcast. What is the meaning behind that?
Compelled.
Can you remember how we count the broadcast domain? When I discuss about the both collision domain and broadcast domain, how we realize the broadcast domain, how we count the broadcast domain.
රවුටර් එකේ ඔන්න වෙලා තියෙන ඉන්ටර්ෆේස් එක
අන්න right. ඇයි එහෙම count කරේ? router එකෙන් introduce කරපු interface ගන්න තමයි අපි count කරේ. ඇයි එහෙම count කරේ? The reason is this: routers are not compelled to forward the broadcast. අපිට broadcast IP එකක් තියෙන්නේ මොන network, given network එකකට. We have a broadcast IP for that particular network. Whatever the traffic we introduce in the broadcast nature, හරි, broadcast IP එක destination IP එක විදිහට දැම්මොත්, that traffic is circulated within that network in that broadcast nature, but it will not be forwarded beyond that network. It will not be forwarded beyond that network. Am I correct? That is the understand behind this point. Routers are not compelled to forward the broadcast. ඇයි ඒක router එකෙන් එහා පැත්තට ගියොත් එහෙම වෙන network එකක්. router එකේ interface එකකින් එහාට ඒක router එක through වෙන network එකකට copy වෙනවා කියන්නේ වෙන network එකකට යනවා. Can you do that? Can router do that? Can't, because destination IP is belongs to that local network, particular considered one. So that packet will not be forwarded to the outside the network, right?
Right, sir.
Right. The second point, therefore, routers reduce the size of both the collision domain and the broadcast domain in a network. Actually, collision domain, obviously it will be reduced because it is happen at the layer 2 level. Broadcast domain, yes, it's true. If we place the if there are, let's say, couple of computers are connected together, maybe one switch with 5 computers, another switch with 5 computers, and another switch with the 5 computers. 15 computers are connected via 3 switches. Then 3 switches are interconnected. In that case, if we introduce the router in the middle and all 3 switches are connected with the router, one broadcast domain appeared at the beginning will be introduced into 3. කලින් තිබ්බ එක broadcast domain එක දැන් 3කට කැඩෙනවා. So visualize the situation. Right? Routers are the most important traffic regulative device on the large networks. Actually, routers is the most important intermediate device. Now actually with the transport layer involvement with the router, even transport layer is also equally important. However, you have to do lots of things at the network layer level. Even inter-network switching module, this one also a little bit more complex because of that layer 3 involvement. Even for the layer 2 communication, now layer 3 involvement is there. That's how we introduce the VLANs. Layer 3 වල තමයි ඇත්තටම ලොකුම component එක තියෙන්නේ. නමුත් layer 3 දැන් අර පොඩ්ඩක් transport එකනොත් පොඩ්ඩක් ගන්නවා, network මේ data link එකටත් පොඩ්ඩක් දෙනවා. ඒකෙන් හින්දා අර your scope has been increased. However, it improve the whatever the network communication, so we have to accept and continue with those changes. Okay, no, let's move forward. They enable virtually any type of computer to communicate with any other computer anywhere in the world. You can understand that part, because once routers are involved, we can connect any number of networks in any manner. So eventually all the networks are interconnected to introduce at the level of internet. Internet එක introduce වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මේ routers හරහා devices connect වෙන නිසා. Fiber ගැහුවත් මොන දේ ගැහුවත් layer 3 level එකෙන් skip කරලා යන්න බෑ. IP addressing skip කරලා යන්න බෑ. It is essential to get the involvement of the layer 3 devices. Yeah. If you can remember, traditionally we discussed whatever the network within the building will be the local area network. likewise. But now concept is bit more complex, right? Even within a building with these huge buildings, even within the building, we can have the intranet, right? Intranet mean, what's the intranet? Internet and intranet. Like a World Trade Center. Can you imagine the network that they have? Maybe different floors belongs to same organization. Even same floor, there are many organizations. Anything can be happen. I don't know exactly what is happening at the WTC, but in Outlook there should be many officers, right? I have been for different floors. Anyway, so I wanted to emphasize the point. Within the building, local area network concept is obsolete now with the huge size of the building, right? So multiple networks are interconnected. So if same office is there at the top floors and ground floors, we may introduce the separate networks in the separate floors and we interconnect. So once we connect the network through the private connections, we introduce at the intranet, right? So once we use the public connections to integrate the networks, we introduce it as the internet. That is the difference. So in this case, it is describing the situation where two networks are just connected within the same building, right? But not getting into detailed information about the intranet and things like that. But I wanted to emphasize that two different terms, intranet and internet. Internet mean the connection over the public network. Multiple networks are connected over the public network. So once we introduce the multiple network connected through the private network, we introduce the intranet. Actually, you should have understand, although I mentioned that multiple networks are connected over the private network, sometimes those private links are hired or rented from the internet service provider. VPN hari මොනා හරි හරහා තමයි private links උත් connect කරන්නේ, but others can't access, right? Anyway, typically if we are not in position to lay the cable in between our private networks, for example, if we are going to connect all the university colleges with University of Vocational Technology, we should have the intranet, no? Not the internet. Then what shall we do? We go and talk with the SLT and we establish the private connection from all the university colleges and University of Vocational Technology. Then we have separate network here at the moment. Some university colleges also has some sort of a network in their institute. Finally, those will be connected to the private network. We are physically placed in the different places, right? With that understand, think about in the World Trade Center, there may be same company may be located in the different tower. Maybe 100 staff work at the one office, other office also maybe 100. They also has to do the same thing. They cannot lay the cable from one tower to another. May not be able. In that case, they also introduce the multiple networks in one office, other office also multiple network. Then those are connected with the help of the internet service provider, but in the private nature, right? So we call them as intranet, right? Just describing the situation with the different networks in the buildings, or I think the 3-point mentioning here, it is very clear to you. So I'm not going to describe about them. I actually, throughout the discussion, I emphasize those points as well. Okay, then still the same topic, but it says something different here. Let's look into the points here. LANs typically employ the combination of, just wait. Okay, so what is the point here? It says LANs typically employ a combination of layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 devices. Can we skip any of these? We can't skip layer 1 because ultimately single signals are transmitted over the layer 1. And layer 2 communication, it is obvious we cannot skip that one because whatever the frames are introduced in that layer. Even layer 3, IP and those involvements are there. So technically, to represent the local area network communication, it is essential to have a combination of layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. Right? So even in some cases, layer 4 level ports are involved. I hope you are familiar with the Telnet, SSH, DNS. Those different ports are involved for the communication. For example, if we introduce the what's that two protocol, UDP and TCP. TCP and UDP communication. Can you remember TCP? Have you ever heard TCP and UDP?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that part also with related to the our networking role because of the that connection specific initiative. Right? Implementation of these devices depends on the factors that are specific to the particular needs of the organization. Right? Right. Different actually different level of the organization. Affordability of the organization. Very small scale enterprise or like what's that? Communication you just go and access the internet. They just use the ADSL routers. No, ADSL routers mean I think they are not rich enough like the layer 2 switches, although it mentioned as the router. I don't know technically how it works. Anyway, it just allow to connect some computers. No, let's say the ADSL router allow only the maybe 4 to 5 ports. If you want to have the 10 computers connected to each other. What would be the approach? Someone can go and purchase the switch. Someone else can purchase the hub and manage the network. All depend on the affordability. All depend on the affordability, right? So average organizations, maybe small office, will not go for hub. They will purchase the layer 2 switch. At the next level, they will purchase VLAN capable switch because they can introduce the different networks in virtual manner. In some cases, large organization may introduce the even routers, right? Moreover, if it is essential to enroll the layer 4 functionalities like TCP, UDP stuff, then they will scale up those capabilities with the routers as well, right? Depending on the situation, affordability requirement, whatever the business need, we would say we adapt different technologies. So mainly these are the devices representing the 3 different layers. What are they actually? Layer 3, I will say it is the router. Layer 2, what are devices there? First one, I think these are the Cisco notification symbols, no?
In physical layer, we can
Hello?
see switch and hub.
Oh.
First layer switch or something, and data link layer we can see bridge and layer 2 switch, and there is not familiar. And network layer you can see router.
So I will finish at this point. I have to go now. You better drop the attendance as a text message, registration number and name. Let's start the discussion from this slide next week, right?